Hello everyone. In this video, I am going to discuss the basics of web technologies and different types of web technology. So uh, maybe you want to get into web development and you want to understand the technologies behind it. This video is for you. If you already know about all technologies, it's not going to be helpful video for you. If you want to see something more and get about a specific technology, let me know in the comment section below and I'll make sure to make a video on it. Okay, let's get straight into the what's a web server. Let's start with our first slide. What's a web server? So what's a web server here? Well, it can actually refer to two different things: the physical web server itself and the web server software. So a physical web server is literally just a computer, but it's more specialized and designed to serve up web pages. Now, web server software is the actual software that's on the web servers that actually handle each individual web request. So, for instance, you'll see on screen a bunch of different things. So, first is a client server model. The client is your web browser. So, something like Google Chrome, Safari, Internet Explorer, something like that. So those are your client, and when you actually request data from the server, that's the server side. So client and server, you will have to know that in this video, and I will be discussing this in more detail in a little bit, but so that's how the client server model works. So essentially, what's this is you will have the physical web server that has an might be Mac OS and it might be Windows, and then you will have a web server software installed on top of that. So a common one is Apache HTTPD because it's free. Now there's also Microsoft's IIS, which I believe is only available for Microsoft Windows Server, and it just depends on which technology you want to go with it. And there's also alternative to both of those as well. What's a web development stack? You might be asking. Well, it's essentially just a group of technologies that used to create a website. So common bundles include Mongo, Express, Angular, and Node, also known as MEAN, MEAN. There's Linux, Apache, MySQL, and then PHP or Python, which is LAMP, Windows, Apache, and MySQL. And PHP is LAMP, and then Linux, Apache, MySQL, and Ruby is LAMP. So when we talk about a web development stack, it can mean different things to different. uh, but generally, the common definition includes the web server, operating system, some web server software development for the database, and then some server-side programming. These are just some of the development stacks that you can use. You can switch out components, for instance, for a LAMP stack. You might be using PHP or might be using Python. You might have a LAMP server and instead you are using Ruby, which is essentially what Llama is. A LAMP server and instead you are using Ruby. So yeah. So it's really about picking up the technology that works for your website or your web app depending on what you want to do. You can actually purchase web hosting that includes all these technologies bundled together so far. For instance, there's LAMP and Lammer hosts that come in an all-in-one solution, and common solutions include host, HostGator, Bluehost, and GoDaddy. And if you want a WAMP solution, which is once again is Windows, Apache MySQL, and PHP, you can go with GoDaddy. Now, I believe Bluehost and Ho- HostGator may or may not have a shared hosting plans that also use LAMP, but you'll have to check out that individual company's website for more details. Now, what's HTTP? You might have seen it in a link before, and you might be saying, "Hmm, you don't know." So what that means? Well, it actually stands for Hypertext Transfer Protocol. Now, what's protocol? A protocol is essentially a standard used with computers and different technologies in order to communicate with each other. It's kind of like how we have English, we have Spanish, we have French, we have Cantonese. We have all these different languages, right? But if you are not speaking the same language, you won't get very far. So if I talk to someone in Spanish and they reply in German, I'm not going to be able to understand unless I also happen to know German. So that's kind of what protocol handle. So HTTP stands for Hypertext Transfer Protocol, and it's standardized way the transferring website data. Now, what's an HTML?